Hello everyone. Hello Mari.
Hello, Morgana.
Welcome to our webinar, The Four Pillars of Rental. So today I'm pretty excited because it's the first interview to my sales manager, Maria Vittoria. How are you?
I'm good. You?
Very good, thank
Well,
you.
my pleasure, actually.
Today we will delve into the four pillars of car rental and provide a list of tips. The Four Pillars of Rental is a book written by our CEO and founder of Document System, offering valuable insight into car rental. But the first question that I would like to ask you is, can you introduce us what the Car Rental Academy is?
Yeah, sure. So the Car Rental Academy is a journey we envisioned many years ago, actually, and it was an idea that remained shelved until we began to hardly work on it in the last 12 months. And the four pillars, of course, are part of this journey, where we aim to provide information, best practices, share ideas, of course, from you, our community, and create a community of rental companies that can grow and succeed. And actually, I'm very passionate and pleased to be part of the car rental industry.
So, what is the purpose of this academy?
Well, it's pretty simple. The purpose of the Car Rental Academy, it's a very mission. So we aim to create the largest community of independent rental companies in the world. And that's why we launched the Car Rental Academy in Spanish on February 8th. And of course, today we're doing it in English.
Yeah.
And well, these are two important milestones along with the Academy in Italian to achieve our goal.
Okay, another question. Who are we?
So you know it perfectly, actually, but we'll explain to our viewers, our audience. So we are a software house, and we're developing a software called MyRent. Of course, dedicated to rental companies, offering cars, vans, motorcycles, scooters, industrial vehicles, and also earth-moving equipment.
Right, in short, the scope is quite broad. Our software, which we've been studying for 20 years, implements numerous functions and caters to market needs of our customers. I have the opportunity to see the list, and I must compliment the entire marketing team, which is also managing the production. So thank you, Vanessa.
Thank you.
And many individuals from different companies have enrolled in this academy.
Yeah, of course. So we refer to mainly three subjects. So the primary audience, of course, includes rental companies, perhaps already establishing and looking to grow or innovate as well as larger rental companies, for example, seeking further expansion or startups trying to understand how to grow or set up their business.
Yeah.
On the other side, there are also the dealerships, so already engaged in rental activities or considering integrating rental into their business. And the third category includes companies working in services, mobility, such as, for example, numerous long-term rental companies seeking to understand if short to medium term is an activity that can complement their long-term rental business.
Right, so this is who we are in essence,
Yeah.
but let's talk about some data, my fancy part.
Yeah, so data are very important. So I wanted to share a few recent pieces of information before diving into the pillars. That will be the main topic of this webinar. So let's say the data are essential for our awareness. So firstly, let's discuss about the automotive supply chain. So we know that everything's changing, but how will it change actually? So let's say that the relationship between the manufacturer, dealership, and end customer is being revolutionized because manufacturers realize that they can increase the profitability by selling directly to the customer. So this transformation, of course, turns dealership from retailers to agents.
Yeah, but what does this mean for the dealership?
Well, it means that the end customer is no longer solely their direct customer, but also a customer for the manufacturer. So the thing is, what can our dealerships do to maintain their direct relationship with the customer?
Right, so I would like to ask you, what advice would you give us in this case?
Well, certainly something they can do is to add value. So, for example, offering services around what will become the showrooms. So these services can range from vehicle maintenance to consultancy activities. So this will ensure they are not completely sidelined, but of course strive to remain a point of reference for the customer in the area. So another thing we can reflect on, I think you read it, the study by Deloitte, City Mobility. So I recommend everyone to download it because it's very interesting. So in this study, Deloitte seeks to analyze how customer experience and expectations are changing.
Yeah, I know that this report highlights that the customer expect an increasingly autonomous and digital experience. They want to book online, for example, choose their vehicles and avoid the queues, but keeping it up autonomously.
Yeah, and this trend is evident both in Europe and in the United States.
Yeah, however, this is also significant development emerging.
Yeah, so for example, when I rented a car in the United States, I experienced a similar process to Europe at the airport, but in the city, it was very different because I had the option also to rent a vehicle entirely through my phone. So I booked online, I uploaded my documents, which were then verified, of course, by an operator, and then I received the approval to pick up the vehicle.
Right, yeah. So let's say that this is a premium service because it's only available for vehicle equipped with a certain type of telematics in a like self-service mode.
Perfectly.
So, however, this model, while fantastic on paper and potentially replicable everywhere in the future, has a physical limitation in this type of business for now, let's say.
Yeah, so let's think about San Francisco. So to rent 5 vehicles at Union Square in San Francisco, there are only 5 reserved parking lots. And this works only for a certain type of high-end rental, of course, but cannot be replicated at the airport because we know there are not enough parking lots. So we cannot deliver all the vehicles and limited parking lots available.
Right. So at the end of the day, it's a beautiful model, but remains a niche market oriented.
Yeah.
And now let's talk about an essential topic. So rental prices.
Yeah, I know it's very important for you because you work with them every day. So
yeah, it's a long short of my life.
Yeah, so the customer asks us for help for the prices, and Morgana is there to help them with that. So to understand better this topic, I asked you to do an exercise.
Right, I will.
So as you, but of course also our viewers, our audience. So let's imagine your rental business is actually a chicken coop.
Right, a chicken coop.
Yeah, sure. So you're not owners of a rental business, but owners of a chicken coop.
Right.
So in this metaphor, of course, let's imagine the car is like a hen.
Why? Why does the hen do?
A special one, because this hen lays an egg every day.
Okay.
It's a special hen because after 24 hours, it's expired. So we have to throw it away.
Okay.
So a rental car is like a hen, so it produces something every day.
But it's produced.
Well, it produces, of course, a rental day.
Okay. This should give us an idea of the product.
Yeah, of course. So we have a product, right? We have the rental day, and I can't use this rental day tomorrow because tomorrow will be expired.
Yeah.
So the thing is that we need to ask ourselves is how much does it cost to produce it every day or this rental day every day, and what can we do to ensure they don't go unsold?
Why do we end up throwing them away then?
Well, so the first indication is to avoid wasting these days, so avoiding wasting these rental days. Now we need to protect ourselves and try to sell them at maximum capacity, of course.
Mm-hmm.
So always considering our chicken coop from a cost and revenue perspective.
Okay, how do we feed it?
Well, we feed it by acquiring more hens. That means more cars. The more cars we have, the more eggs we can produce, and of course, the hens at a cost. As the upkeeper and our personnel and various expenses every company has. So to manage the chicken coop, we need to evaluate all these costs. And obviously, the car itself has operational costs. We have to consider because returning to our example, each car produces 1 egg per day, okay? And for the rest of the month. So how many eggs do we have? How many eggs does it produce? So if the month has, for example, 30 days, we will have 30x, or in our case, 30 rental days to sell.
So, yeah, as you're saying, if we don't sell it in a particular day, we won't be able to sell it anymore because that day is lost.
Yeah.
So at the end of the month, we should envision that 30 rental days, and then we have to manage to sell it, and then the question is at what price, and because this is the risk.
Yes, of course, because of course the goal of rental obviously is to sell all the rental days or the. But of course, we have to ensure also they have the right margin,
Right.
because otherwise it would be a loss for us. So how do we do this? So going back to the chicken coop example, we accept orders for these eggs. For example, in the summer when we have more tourists in our cities. So for instance, we accept orders for the eggs because we need to make eggs Benedict, for example.
Yeah, I prefer omelets, but
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So anyways, the demand increases, so we can increase the price also, and we can accept orders in advance, just like rental companies, for example, accept reservations. So
Yeah.
this reservation that the rental outlet accept today for tomorrow, and of course for the periods when the demand is higher.
yeah.
So we don't have to let our eggs go back and try to sell them at the right price.
So why sell a rental day then?
Yeah, well, if we don't, we risk wasting money necessarily, of
Okay.
course, for acquiring our fleet, our hands, and maintaining them. So we risk having to give away rental days even for free,
Yeah.
without amortize the cost we have to for the fleet. Of course.
So we won't be able to produce and buy more cars, and
Yeah.
in this case, and produce more eggs. But then ages.
Yeah, and maybe it's also sick. So now we have to choose, because maybe the hen takes medicine once a week and does not lay egg, of course.
Yeah.
So technical stoppage of the hen.
Right.
And now what do we do? So productivity decreases. So at some point we have to take that into consideration.
Yeah, as a rental company, maybe before then reach that state, what we do instead in this case, we sell our cars. Okay, we get a good price,
Yes.
for free,
Of course.
but we produce. We need to produce it to follow our method, and this is the 4 pillars. So let's take the opportunity for those who haven't downloaded yet. There's a guide on Amazon that I would suggest to download.
Yeah, of course. The 4 pillars of rental, we'll talk about it in a few minutes. In the book we're about to delve into, discussing methods centered around 4 pillars to be implemented in order to grow any type of rental business.
Yeah, sure. Like small, medium, or large. Without these 4 pillars, there's no chance of growth in manner we indicate. These 4 pillars are people,
Yeah.
strategies, processes, and of course, appropriate software. We already know that we have the best one.
Yeah.
But let's start with the first pillar, so people.
Yeah, so we know that every entrepreneurial project, every company is made of people, of course.
Yeah, in fact, it's people who determine the success or failure of an entrepreneurial project, but generally of any project, let's
Yeah.
say. And we have the task of building a team of joyful individuals capable of creating values of the company. And this makes the difference. And we need to share all the best practices that we have
Yes.
seen.
Yeah, we have different points to talk about, but let's say the first one that is truly a strategy, not even a tactic, is that the company should always be in selection. That means that if I open up the selection, of course, just before the season or where someone leaves, we'll end up doing is choosing the least bad option, of course. It's too hard to say otherwise.
Yeah.
Everyone
Yeah.
does it. So
Yeah.
we must always be in selection to find the right people to bring in, because when we find them, of course, we have to invest to them.
Yeah, we need to look into them. So this is the crucial point, and we come back to this just as the other points that we have. We'll explore the concept of people then.
Yeah, sure. And the second point about people is continuous training. I know it's something very familiar to you because
Every day training.
Yeah. So of course the training should be continuous, and of course should be done, of course, when we onboard our collaborators, but also when they are already onboarded, because if we take, for example, an operator and immediately put them in a position, and in case of hiring, make them also the trainer for the new operator, what happens if maybe they had the training by word of mouth?
Yeah.
It would be a disaster. So of course, for example, in our company, we have an initial training, but of course we continue with the training every day actually.
Hmm. You know what comes to my mind in this moment? You know when it's a bit like when we were kids and used to play like the whispering game.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I did it too.
were there 3 or 4 people whispering a word into each other's ears, and the last word that I repeated wasn't the same at the beginning. So it's like that.
Yeah,
I was playing a word to you, and the last one is completely different. So that's the thing, and you must have a structured training in your company, and for all of you, obviously for the newcomers, and for a long-term building, and this is very important part, and obviously also for collaborators that already work in your company, because there's at the beginning, like when we first start, I had many lessons and many things to study, many informations, obviously. And now, after 3 years, maybe I need to review some of them. Yes, that's important.
Something
And it's
that's
normal.
changing.
And it is normal.
Yeah. So that's the point. We're collaborating because the collaborator will face difficulties, as you were saying. There will be procedures to review, something that perhaps wasn't understood in the initial phase because of the many information they got. So then over time there are new problems that they don't know exactly how to handle. So continuous training ensures that they don't become critical, but instead they will act on improvement, of course.
Yeah, and of course, I've seen some incentive plans where collaborators are rewarded in generalized manner, and that's great because this is according to a set of guidelines, and for the collaborator to be effectively motivated to achieve something more. So they want more, definitely, and it should be an incentive plan that doesn't become like let me say a slot machine.
Yeah, that's
but reviewed but due to its behavior. There are techniques to do this, we know that, and this will be also something that will be explored in the upcoming webinar. So we'll see this part actually. And let me say in general, however, people management and employers branding, the reputation that each chapter has in this part make the difference.
Yeah.
Because whether or not they can attract talented people is at the point.
Of course, and something to attract talented people is the reputation, because we know that our industry is an industry where everyone knows each other.
Yeah.
So it's very, very easy to get a reputation, and we must, of course, manage it. So the entrepreneur must also work on this aspect, because without that, we cannot attract talented candidates.
Yeah.
So with a bad reputation, a good collaborator won't want to work with us.
Yeah, so it's something we need to think about it.
Yes, of course. So let's introduce now the second pillar about strategy. So you can also write your thinkings, and if you have any questions. So
strategy is the key in any business, let me say, and rental is no exception.
Yeah. When we talk about strategy, of course, we must also understand where we want to go, of course, and identify the positioning. That is the main point of strategy. Let's say everything comes from this. So we must immediately create where to gather these criteria, guidelines, and of course, objectives we want.
Yeah, so how do we plan our success? This is the question that we need to ask ourselves. First of all, we start by creating a unique value proposition, differentiating ourselves from others. So the question is in what we want to be different, and this helps us enjoy dedicated market share.
Yes, correct. The thing is that if we want to be recognized, we must be disruptive compared to others. So it's not enough, we very well to copy others' prices.
No.
So we must
It's not the strategy.
Yeah, we must differentiate ourselves in some way regarding service, communication, and innovation, of course. So we must do this because the positioning will also serve us for the strategy of the second point of this pillar.
Yeah, it's necessary therefore to structure the business plan so it serves so like a guide in both short and long term activity. We must know which direction to go, set goals, and periodically adjust, of course. So we must structure ourselves, and we need to do like a realistic, resilient financial management in essential, because every year is not the same in all these phases, and we know that, because there are periods where we rent more, periods when we rent less, and even lean periods.
Yeah, that's how it goes. It's normal. So for those business, for those in business management, another point is to set objectives and to constantly monitor to understand if we are consistently achieving the objectives of a budget or not. And then of course correct the course, because
Yeah.
it's very important to do that. So the other part is to create this budget. So who do we create the budget with? Planning costs, planning revenues.
Yeah, what we expect to collect in the coming months, and then of course analyze our competitors, and because they are moving, how they are doing, what price they have, what is the correct rate to apply. These are all questions that we need to ask ourselves.
Yeah.
And also, what are the extra that enrich with a well-structured marketing plan?
Yes, sure. And if you don't know how to do it now, we have a couple of tips together on how to set it up. So you can use Excel. So if you don't have
Yeah.
software, it's okay. You can use an Excel, but of course with Marek would be easy with our new module. So let's talk about the budget. Yes. So aside from adding a new model of our software, it's a very interesting update of my rent that is coming in March. So in a couple of weeks,
Yeah.
we're pretty done. Yeah. And it allows us to set up a configurable budget. So you can create your budget today for the entire year and do also a few more simulations. So it's unlimited. So the target budget, the most optimal budget, and also various scenarios. So let's input some simulations, for example. So the target budget, the most optimal budget. So for example, we put all the personal costs, also considering increases and decreases of the personal, because we know each month is different, summer is different from winter. So I set up a configuration with the personal forecast, and of course input the personal cost. So the software automatically simulates the cost divided by month by location.
And that's amazing.
Yeah.
Then in the second step, I input the fleet forecast. So how would the fleet be composed? It's going to be economy, compact, SUV, or work vehicles. In short, you can adapt it to your business.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. And it will make some simulation by putting the vehicles according to the monthly forecast. Then I input my general costs such as rent, maybe parking. It can be like washing costs or other expenses that you want to set.
Yeah, and costs you actually have, because every company is different and it has different costs. So after inputting this cost, I need to input also the revenue forecast. So I need to simulate, to predict, to forecast 2 data points: the average daily rental rate and the fleet utilization percentage. So how many X in our metaphor I think I'll sell every day, and how many will spoil.
Yeah, so in your example, I have to add so utilization percentage, average daily rate, that is the average daily rate for each group at each location. And then I have to calculate by inputting this data into the software. So the average rate, the utilization percentage, the software shows us in green the months we are profitable, in red, obviously, the months we're losing.
Yeah.
And then we keep the situation under control, and this is very important. Yeah. Then of course we keep track of all this data and compare it with the current trend.
Yes, of course. So now we need to ask ourselves, while keeping our situation under control, as Morgana explained you, some basic information. That is, we must constantly check how many days we sell, of course. So how many X. At what price? So we already talked about it. And so the revenue per day, the RPD. So we also sold some additional products, for example. So we enriched it with accessories and coverages, for example. So we added, let's say, condiments to our eggs.
Yeah.
So, but how much do the chickens and the whole hen house cost us? That's important.
Yeah, and another thing that we need to think about is we need to have financial control and how much money we are in the cash register now to have all these things under control. And another thing is there's I like to say there's a second model that will be available much. Yeah. And we develop a business intelligence model. And what can do this business intelligence? So we can keep track of all these parameters, all the indices, and that's what we need, as I said before, to get the budget well, so we can implement this to arrange a budget.
Yeah, of course. Well, this is the second news of many, but we cannot call everyone because I know that our CEO is watching us, so hi. But yeah, of course. But these are example data, of course. So we can see the average duration, for example, 8 days in one location, 3 days in another. So we see the average booking value in the graph at the top right, and how it varies over time also, and how the booking curves also vary in the first graph on the left. Well, there are many graphs that say, so it's very, very useful, this part. So if you use MyRent, you have the opportunity to activate this module. If you don't use it, of course, make sure you keep track anyways of these parameters because they make the difference in driving your company. So this is open to all the rentals, not only the ones using MyRent. Yeah. So, well, the strategy, we were talking about it. So another important element is to understand the demand. Yeah. Because, of course, I can hypothesize a price, but then I have to keep track of the demand because it changes also because of that.
Yeah, in the market, yeah. So the thing is, what is the demand? What is the price for our competitors? Let's say that from a certain point of view, the rental market produce, they are integrated with various online portals. It's a bit like a stock market. Yeah. You can say that. And so there are constant fluctuation.
Yeah, of course. And obviously it must always be kept under control because, of course, we have to know exactly how it's going. And it wouldn't be nice if we had tools to do so.
Yes, it would be amazing.
We have worked on this, and we are still working on it. And because, of course, nice the budget module, nice the business intelligence, and keep track of everything. But of course, we must try to predict the right price to use for our commercial strategy.
Yeah, from my point of view, we must keep track of the demand in this case. So, what is the customer asking for? How many quote requests do we receive? Our price, the price of the competitor, all these considering the position. So that's important. And are we a low-cost brand? Are we a premium brand?
What are we?
Yeah, we need to think about. And so our unique value proposition and the market sentiment, because obviously, if there's a pandemic, let me say, I can make all the speeches that you want, but if the market is flat, I can't do nothing about it.
Yeah, you're talking about pandemic, we live it, so we all know what you're talking about. Yeah, we have to face it actually. So, well, let's analyze the demand. So, if we are a business rental, obviously we can track the number of quotes we receive and keep track of the conversions, of course. That's very important. If instead we are integrated on brokers, web portals, well, MyRent, our software provides us and save the XML request we receive every second, so we're updated to it. Yeah. So, for example, here's an example of a screen I took on January 19. So let's look at it together and let's see that most of the requests are under date and considered in the next 10 days. And then we still have a peak near Easter and then it trends to rise towards the high season.
Yeah, so this tool tell us that people are looking for cars on the date. And they do it even in the low season. So we will see this effect multiplied also in the high season. This is people looking for the last minute deal. So, but already today there is a demand for Easter. Just as we already have it for those who want to plan the holiday in summer, for example.
Yeah, exactly. So this should make us reflect on the price we have today, on the price we have for Easter, for example, and the price we'll have for the high season, because obviously the demand is almost new than we see in October 2024. So it's not significant to lower prices for that period because there is no demand. So
It doesn't matter, yeah. As before Easter, however, the demand is a bit weak, let me say. And we know that this wave and the date will come, so we just need to wait. And it's okay to lower the price now, but be careful because the wave still moves in the States. So let's not panic, there's a cool, we need just to know and understand. So of course, there's no magic formula that I can tell you, with the price.
Yeah, we have a whole thing and proof.
No, right.
So, however, we must read the data, of course, to adjust prices and see how they're able to create the right mix for our business, of course. And another new feature coming also in March.
Obviously, we are talking to everyone, not just those who using my brand, so for everyone, even with Excel, but it's something that you really need to do.
Yeah, it's just to track everything with or without my brand, but with is better.
Yeah, I'll tell you that.
So very often, let's say the customer asks for advice on prices. So we provide service consultancy, and I've often engaged in this type of activity. And obviously, we did it until yesterday, let's say, by going on websites and searching for prices, many days for just one search, maybe, So, well, the novelty is that within Maran there will be an integration for you and you, of course. And so you can see the competitors' prices without leaving Maran's by entering your location.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. Everything will be directly from Maran. We can see the prices of our competitors for each group and each location. As you can see, for example, in this screenshot, so the first is an MDMR, which has a price of 8.27 euros at Italica brand, and then a price of 43.93 euros at Italica brand for the prepaid debit tariff.
Okay, in between, there are a series of other players with different prices. So detailed analysis by day. I know that when I do a search, for example, one day is not enough for me, but I want to see how the price changes over time. So we could help by giving you these too.
Yes, of course.
So having the ability to program the software to make the request, this is another thing. So for example, see how the price varies from the 1st of February to the 28th of February, and then see the price graph move over time and understand where you also position yourself. So we're not for the price war,
we
know that.
So yeah, well, first of all, let's say that we need to know where I stand and when I'm clear about where I'm positioned. So let's go back to the first minutes of this webinar and my unique value proposition. At that point, I can look at what competitors are doing with that unique proposition, of course. So obviously you can choose various location, groups, and of course also time duration.
Yeah. So let's say even if you don't use my rent, I go back to this point because it's important. This analysis, you have to do it. And go and see your competitor prices because they are changing constantly.
Yeah. Well, so now let's introduce the third pillar concerning processes. Well, the rental war, we all know that is a service activity. So it's an activity where processes make a big difference, can change everything actually, and then unleash the efficiency and productivity of our company. So processes must be defined, clear, replicable, actionable, and of course, we know known by all the collaborators. We did it before. So if a process is not known by our collaborators, what do? So we do it constantly, though, because it's not enough to train. We already said it when the person is hired, but of course we must repeat it every necessary time, of course. And it's always ideal to have an internal training in a company or also rely on an external one that doesn't change anything.
Yeah, well, we need to understand what the processes are in our company. So from online booking, for example, as we said, the customer want to book by themselves.
Yes, of course, and also verifying the process at the vehicle checkout, the delivery of the vehicle, the return, all that involve a series of issues such as damages, fines, and complaints also
Mhm.
because they happen. And now all these aspects that need to be defined in a handbook
Yeah.
must be part of our operational manual. So the first question I have to ask you is, do we have an operational manual? Because I know many of you do, of course, but if you don't, you actually need to create one because it's essential knowledge for your company and your collaborators, of course.
Yeah, of course. And regarding the operational manual, we also created a rent manual.
Yeah, in different languages. So
Yes, that
you
our
have
clients, yeah, can take, perhaps modify and adapt to add your own internal procedure because you can do that.
Yeah.
And however, you want your operators to interact with the end customers, and in this case, you need to teach them how to interact with them. And you can tailor it to your needs, so if you want, and if necessary, you can create additional section or ask us to add
Yeah,
additional
sure.
sections.
Yeah, of course, what we provide you is a generic about the software, of course, in itself. So it may offer various options, and you know which workflow is better for your company. We cannot know. Let's say that every company is different, so you can adapt it along with the training also. So once these processes are defined, they need to be digitized.
Yes.
So they can be automated, digitized, because the process must be transparent, accessible by everyone, and automated to ensure it's executed as quickly as possible.
Yeah, for sure. As we mentioned, an operational manual, constant training, both in the classroom
Yeah.
and even in the field, including mentoring and continuous process
Yeah, I say
review.
it every day.
Yeah, this is what I say every day.
Yeah.
But because we know that the most successful clients that we have are those who occasionally come back to us and ask to review a process, maybe together, or they review by themselves, but and perhaps we modify it, because what is true today, we can still improve tomorrow. This is what I always say. And then, from a growth perspective, we have to see the data from all our clients. And there's has been exponential growth in recent years. So what we may have worked well 2 years ago may not work now. So we need to review it. And there's other practice we need to implement to achieve the goals that we have set in our minds. And so it's a continuous evolution, both in terms of processes and also for our company.
Yeah, obviously. And also these processes need a number, an index to understand if we're actually producing value or not, and also to digitize and optimize them. So we introduced the fourth pillar now.
Yeah.
Our favorite one.
Yeah, software.
Yeah. So we know that all car rental companies from India to Europe, from Italy to the United States have software behind them. So today, let's say that there are companies that only need a generic management software to operate. But as we all know, the rental business is very, very different from other companies.
Yeah, so this is not enough.
Yeah, so it's not enough. We need a specific software. So let's say that the rental company is essentially built on top of the software. So we need a software that performs, perhaps managing everything comprehensively, because it's not just about the vehicle accident return. We know it very, very well.
No, we have there's all the maintenance, for example. Then you have to manage all the fines, deadlines, many things to handle actually. So therefore we need software that can handle all these and can be customized to your needs. So we are a software house enough. So because every rental is a separate company, and many processes are similar, but some nuances are part of your identity, so it's different. And so obviously you need a software to manage the entire booking flow, to manage your fleet and optimize it, to digitize check-in, check-out, vehicle delivery, return, digital signature, maybe paperless, damages, I can imagine. And then you need to sign the contract and achieving as well to automate parts to the business up to the self-service different also. You need a platform according to your needs, capable of covering and assisting you in all the transformation and providing tools to implement it and adjust your strategy so it can follow you step by step.
Yes, that's correct. But how can we do this? Of course, by keeping track of indices. So giving you the opportunity to analyze them and adjust your strategy based on your market duration. So obviously you need to be present online. We know it very well, receive online bookings, and then based on your type of business, focus on these assets. So we know that some of our clients receive up to 20% of bookings from their booking system. So booking system, marketing strategies, there are many things to consider. It's
Yeah,
not just exit and the entrance of the vehicle, we just said it. So now we have covered the four pillars, or at least we said something about the
Yeah,
four
the
pillars.
introduction.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the question we want to pose you is how you're implementing these four pillars. Obviously, we're here to support you in these implementations. If you need any help,
Yeah, I would also like to know your opinion and how you're implementing these four pillars and or what difficulties, because there's lots that maybe you want to talk to us. And so I'd love to read in the coming days to find some emails, we've exchanged our opinions. I like to see the idea of the current like community where we can share experience, opinions with all our customers, and we have a magical chicken cooks, but not all the magic formula.
Yeah.
But I would like to talk about this in the emails in the next few days.
Yeah, you're right, but hold on because we still have some important information. We'll be giving 4 webinars related to our methods. So the one we explained to you today for the 4 pillars of car rental. So in particular, the first one will be about per people, the second about strategy, the third about processes, and the fourth about
The
software. Of course. So in this period, we are getting ready. So for those, for example, you preparing the high season, but of course not only because also the earth moving vehicles need to hire the right people for the right positions. And we'll talk about this in the next webinar coming up.
Yeah, it's important to know that in March, these new models, so the budget, the business intelligence, and the pricing will be released. So if you're interested, I invite you to request information starting today using the QR code, because initially we can only activate a few of you. So
Like 10 of them.
yeah, 10 of them. Okay, but maybe in the next few months we can.
Yeah. Yes, but this is just the launch, of course, and in the following months we'll extend it to all of you as well.
So it was nice to have an interview with
Thank
you
you.
today.
It was
Very nice. That was very nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you everyone.
Yeah, we'll see you in the next one.
Yeah, let's talk by email.
Yeah,
With
sure.
all this
For
information.
you and your information.
Okay, see you later. Thank you very much.
Bye.